NRI launches corporate plan. Cybercrime law to support law enforcers. Settlers cry foul over evictions.
This is NBC Papua New Guinea National News.
Good evening, I'm Antonia Singut. National Research Institute today launched its 5-year corporate plan. The 2016 to 2020 corporate plan is the first of a set of 5-year plans that make up the institution's 30-year strategic master plan. The launching also coincided with the groundbreaking ceremony for a new research and knowledge centre. Upon completion, the facility is deemed to become the epicentre of the country's knowledge and a foundation for a modern public policy think tank. Gregory Avira reports.
Today's launching of the corporate plan aims to set the National Research Institute as an effective knowledge hub and public policy think tank. The 5-year plan was officially launched by Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Francis Marus.
The development of the plan has taken a lot of effort and time, and I'm confident that the final output is a good roadmap that will guide the operation of the National Research Institute for the next 5 years.
The launch of the plan also coincided with the groundbreaking ceremony for the institution's new Research and Knowledge Centre, which was named after its current and longest-serving board chairman, Se Henry Chow. Minister Marus said the completion of the centre as an important project in the institution's plan will not only serve researchers but be a source of valuable information for governance.
With this building now, it will house our think tank that will do proper research, collect information, and then advise government.
With the institution's aim to inquire, inform and influence, the centre will be a physical precinct where researchers, thought leaders, policymakers and the private sector can meet and interact. NRI Director Dr. Charles Yala said the institution, guided by its success in the past 10 years, will make a concentrated effort to better understand constraints to the country's development and find ways of addressing them.
NRI Waigani campus becomes a place of inquiry, research, informing, which is communication, and influencing, which is policy impact. Policies aimed at addressing the chronic national development constraints of PNG. This is, in a nutshell, the strategic direction the Council has provided.
Gregory Avira, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has given an undertaking to direct the National Disaster and Emergency Office to provide relief assistance to the people of Torokina in South Bougainville. Mr. O'Neill gave an undertaking in Parliament following a series of questions from South Bougainville MP Timothy Masiu. Mr. Masiu, in his first question in Parliament since taking office, asked the government for relief assistance for the people of Torokina after the recent volcanic eruption in the area. The question arose from recent media claims by the National Disaster Office of no funds being available for disaster assistance. Jay Habakia reports.
The recent eruptions and spewing of ash by Mount Bagana in South Bougainville has caused displacement, suffering and water problems for the people there, according to the local MP. Speaking for the first time as an elected representative, Mr. Masiu raised concerns of reports that the National Disaster Office had no money to carry out disaster relief assistance. As of yesterday, his office had delivered some supplies to the affected communities, but he wanted government assurance if any form of assistance would be forthcoming.
This disaster may come up close to 1 moon, number 2 moon, Mount Bagana volcano, one of the several active volcanoes on Bougainville, fire up. Now people affecting all this ash flow, affecting all people, all water sources in Bagarab, not all garden in Bagarab. Now people now walk along, stop this situation. Government not helping all people belong me, now give him some relief, not this time where all people belong me got need long end. Thank you.
The Prime Minister assured the MP that he will look into the matter immediately. He added that the National Disaster Office must be properly funded at all times to ensure it acts swiftly in cases of emergency in the country.
I will advise the National Disaster Office to immediately look into the assistance that they will give to our people in Torokina. And of course, Mr. Speaker, I will use my own office and some of the little funds that I have in my office to immediately release some supplies to the displaced people in Torokina. But Mr. Speaker, we need to, of course, continue to manage many disasters that we continue to face in the country. I think it is important now that after all these experiences of long drought that we have had in the past few years, that each year we provide sufficient funds for the disaster office to manage for the interventions that it will be required from time to time.
Joab Akia, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
The National Cybercrime Bill is effective as of today. After 3 years of workshops and consultations with different stakeholders and industries, the bill was passed yesterday in Parliament. The legislation is to deal with crimes and offences committed against individuals and the public, among others, through ICT. It will enable the law enforcement agencies to prosecute as well as to improve the country's position against foreign incidences. Minister for Information and Communication, Jimmy Miring-Toro, told Parliament that the proposed law is to protect the rights of citizens and ensure cybercrime offences are adequately addressed. Kevin Dayonga with this report.
After the government has recognized the freedom of ICT market in the country, it has stepped in to protect its citizens and investments and the country as a whole. Minister for Communications Jimmy Miring-Toro said the existing laws do not adequately cover the offences of cybercrime, thus necessitating the agency to develop an appropriate framework to combat and deter the commission for offences through the use of ICTs.
The bill set the platform for the new cyber law for the country. The law is not inferior to other laws, cyber laws in other parts of the world.
The development of this bill was guided by the basic principles of elements of cybercrime set out in the policy. These principles will foster development of an effective legal and regulatory framework.
Now we know technology changes. Maybe 5 years' time, the technology will change. Now as changes comes along with new technology, of course, new amendments and new ideas that will be put forward to the bill, existing bill that we are putting in now. And we know that those bills that will come in the future will add value and weight to this bill that we have already put forward.
The bill contains and covers most common offences as well as those that are specific interest for the region and PNG.
A lot of people can question or raise question about this new cyber law. But this bill is very important because once it takes effect, it will protect individuals, the public at large, government agencies, corporate entities, and also those young generations who are coming up.
Meantime, the bill that was passed yesterday will complement the police force and courts. Kevin Dayonga, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Community Development Minister Delilah Gore says her department will further deliberate on a law that will regulate how to look at basic funeral expenses for all citizens. She was responding to suggestions by the NCD Governor, Porus Pakop, in Parliament today. Mr. Pakop suggested that there should be a law in place to meet basic funeral expenses, which must be compulsory for all citizens. He said the invitation from people to members of Parliament to fund house cries is becoming a norm. Sheila Malkin reports.
Got law to regulate him to indai below yumi. So now inside long country below yumi, people will die na. Give yumi every long got happy. Here must be Mr. Speaker. Every week I think makes him 10 requests long house cry.
Governor Porus Pakop says whilst the Department of Community Development is passing several other laws to take care of people, it must be compulsory for every citizen to be also insured.
Okta Madmeri lo Papua New Guinea almost got insurance. Blo miti mosem coffin na. Iya lo mosbi by you can freight cost. Line blow plan him to dig him body to or like him money to na.
He asked if the government can assist in bringing responsibility to the people.
So legally question blow me osem. Department belonging and me got ting long. Look lo one law where you can make him at least basic funeral expense. You must get insurance long.
In response, Minister Gore admitted that outcry requests and expense are affecting MP. However, added that this had led to misfocus on service delivery. She said there is no law in the country that regulates and looks after outcry, with insurance only covering those in the workforce.
We do not have insurance that covers citizens of this country. And it's an important question that he raised. And yes, my department has been into passing some bills and policies on how to look after disabled people and many other people in the community. But that question is very valid, and I will bring it before the officials of my department and we will discuss further on that.
Sheila Malkin, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Overseas, 2 bombs have exploded in the popular Thai tourist town of Hua Hin, killing 1 person and injuring at least 23 others. 1 bomb hidden in a pot plant exploded on a road outside a bar, followed by a second blast just 50 meters away around 20 minutes later. Local police said officials were still investigating a motive and the type of explosives used. Hua Hin's major hospital said 11 foreigners are among those wounded.
Anyone, can you help me?
The bloody aftermath of an attack on a resort town. The injured lie next to the road as emergency crews tape off and secure the area. The first blast happened about 10 in the evening outside an open-fronted bar filled with tourists.
The security in the bar told me to get back into the bar, and they just shut down the shutters and made sure that everyone was at the back of the bar. And after about, I'd like to say, a 10-minute or so wait, there's a second bang.
That explosion killed a local woman selling papaya salad from a street stall. At least one of the devices had been hidden in a plant pot. Police scoured the area for remnants, finding ball bearings scattered on the ground. Many of those hurt were foreigners, including Dutch, British, German, Austrian and Italian nationals. A culprit and motive isn't yet known, but the plot came hours before a public holiday in honour of Queen Sirikit's birthday. It's rare for resort areas to be targeted, and this incident threatens the kingdom's desire to be a safe haven for holidaymakers, vital to the local and national economy.
Back home, hundreds of settlers in the nation's capital are crying foul when they were forced to move out of the land they have been settling in for many years. People who claim to have titles to the land move in with huge machines and police pulling down houses, displacing families. Recent evictions in the city included one at Geruhu at the back of the Telecom Earth Station and at Gordon's Ridge Settlement at 5 Mile. The office of the NCD governor is aware of these evictions and has raised serious concerns, saying recent eviction exercises carried out in various parts of the city are not being conducted through legal means. Gregory Avira with this report.
One of the evictions, which started yesterday at the Gordon Ridge settlement in 5 Mile, saw many settlers being displaced. The settlers, mostly second or third generations, say they were unaware that individuals had obtained titles to the land they were residing in. According to the settler spokesperson, Jack Sine, the case regarding the ownership of the portion of land is still before the courts.
I'm asking, talking police or this case is still pending in the district court. Now, they are not supposed to evict the settlers.
Mr. outside lawyer, me no got summons paper. But Emi come now, give me the court order na to, but you clear now. Now Masini come inside na walk him. Me Paul.
However, Joan Chennai, the lady who claims to have the land title, said the eviction has taken place because she needs to develop the land.
I've given them leniency and time. Over the last 9 years, I've been telling them, please, you guys move and don't do anything or build anything permanent because eventually I'm going to develop the place. And I paid all my land rates up to 2016. And they never helped me pay, but they're happy to build and extend, make little rooms, collect money year after year. They're happy to do that, but they won't even help me. So it's come to a stage where I'm just fed up, and I have to exercise my right.
NCD Governor Powers Pakop, when queried about this matter, said most evictions carried out in the city were not done in a proper manner and should be stopped. Pakop says his plan is to upgrade settlements into suburbs and to secure titles for those who have been residing there for many years. He says he has been pushing for this but has faced lack of cooperation from the Lands Department. Gregory Avira, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
We now look at the weather preview with Douglas.
Thanks, Antonio. Good evening, everybody. The weather in brief: cloudy periods forecasted for some centres in the Momase and New Guinea Islands region, whilst other centres are experiencing fine weather conditions. Join me later in the bulletin for more details on the weather. For now, though, Antonia, it's back to you.
Thank you, Douglas. Coming up after the break, Enga Governor Sir Peter Ipitas calls on Unitec Enga students and their parents to take on their responsibilities, and the Health Minister admits funding constraints to implement free healthcare policy. Stay with us on NBC National News.